Look at your hydrangea right now. Go on. The flowers have gone. Not gone exactly, but finished. That gorgeous blue or pink has drained out of them and left something papery and greenish-brown, hanging there looking tired. The leaves are wilting by 3 in the afternoon on the hot days. The whole plant looks like it is done for the year. So you have stopped thinking about it. Of course you have. The show is over, and there are other things in the garden that still need attention. And that is the mistake. Not a small one either. Because right now, inside that plant, invisibly, in the last few weeks of summer, your hydrangea is building next June. It is setting the flower buds that become next year's entire display. Every single flower you get next summer is being decided this month, and it is being decided based on how that plant is living right now. And here is the part that should stop you cold. If a big leaf or oak leaf hydrangea runs dry during this window, or gets stressed by heat, or gets cut, it does not just make fewer buds. It aborts bud development. It stops. And a plant that does not set buds in August does not bloom next spring. Not fewer flowers. None. That is the answer to a mystery a lot of you have lived through without ever solving it. 2 spectacular seasons, and then a year where you get a big, healthy, glossy green bush and not one single flower on it, and nobody can tell you why. Look back at the summer before that empty spring. It was hot, and it was dry, and nobody watered. The cause and the consequence are 10 months apart, which is exactly why almost nobody connects them. So most gardeners get August completely wrong, and here is the specific shape of it. The mistake is not doing something wrong. The mistake is stopping. Stopping watering, stopping paying attention in the 1 month of the year when it matters most. There are 4 things this plant needs from you in August, and one of them is a thing you must not do. But first, you need to understand what is actually happening inside those stems. Here is the idea that changes how you see this month. A hydrangea flower is not made in spring. It is made now, and then it waits. On the old wood types, and that is big leaf, mountain, and oak leaf, the flower bud forms in late summer on the stems that grew this year. It forms as a tiny swelling tucked into the joint where a leaf meets the stem. And then it sits there, fully formed and completely invisible to you, through autumn, through winter, through every frost, until spring finally tells it to open. So the flower you admire next June is 9 months old by the time you see it. It was built in the heat, in August, while you had stopped looking. And once you understand that, everything about this month reorganizes itself. Every drop of water that plant gets in August is not maintenance. It is investment. You are not keeping a tired shrub alive until autumn. You are funding next summer's flowers at the precise moment they are being manufactured. Which is also why August is the most dangerous month of the year to pick up a pair of shears, but I will come back to that. So here is the sentence to hold on to for the rest of this video. In August, you are not caring for this year's plant. You are paying for next year's flowers. And do me a favor, because it decides which half of this video applies hardest to you. Drop a comment and tell me which hydrangea you have got: big leaf, panicle, smooth, oak leaf, or mountain. Or just describe the flower shape if you are not sure. Now, the thing that matters most, and it is the simplest thing in the world. Water it as if next June depends on it, because it does. This is the whole video. If you take one thing away, take this. Start with why hydrangeas are so vulnerable to this in the first place, because it is structural. A hydrangea has shallow, fibrous roots that sit close to the soil surface, in exactly the layer that dries out first and fastest in hot weather. It is not a plant with a deep taproot, quietly finding moisture 2 feet down. Its entire root system is living in the part of the soil that August punishes hardest. That is why a hydrangea can look perfect at 9 in the morning and be flat on its face by 3 in the afternoon. And it is why the big leaf types, the classic mopheads, are the thirstiest of the lot. So here are the numbers, and they are not complicated. about 1 inch of water a week in normal weather. Up to 2 inches during a genuine hot, dry spell. And critically, deliver that as 2 or 3 deep soakings, not as a daily sprinkle. You want to moisten the top 6 to 8 inches of soil each time you water, which for an established plant in the ground is roughly 1 to 2 gallons. Now understand why the depth matters so much, because this is where most people go wrong with the best of intentions. A light daily splash wets the top inch and nothing more. And the plant responds to that by keeping its roots up in that top inch, where the water is. So you have trained a shallow-rooted plant to be even shallower, and now it cannot survive 2 days without you. Deep, less frequent watering does the opposite. It pulls roots downward into soil that holds moisture longer, and it builds a plant that can handle a hot week on its own. 3 details on technique, and each one is doing a job. Water at the base, into the soil, never over the top of the plant. Wet foliage in warm, humid weather invites botrytis and leaf spot, and you have handed a fungal disease everything it needs. Water in the early morning if you can, so that moisture goes down to the roots instead of evaporating off in the midday heat, and so the plant starts the day fully loaded before the sun hits it. And if you want to remove yourself from the equation entirely, put a soaker hose or a drip line at the base. Slow water goes down, fast water runs off. Now, the test that stops you guessing. And this one is worth memorizing, because hydrangeas lie to you constantly. Hydrangeas wilt dramatically in afternoon heat. It looks alarming, and it sends people running for the hose. But that afternoon droop is often just the plant losing water through its leaves faster than the roots can resupply, and it recovers on its own once the sun goes down. So do not judge by the afternoon, judge by the morning. If your hydrangea is still wilted at 8 in the morning, after a whole cool night to recover, that plant is genuinely dry and needs water now. If it is standing up fine in the morning and flopping by 4 in the afternoon, that is normal summer behavior, and you can leave it alone. And back that up with your finger. 2 inches into the soil at the base. Dry down there, water deeply. Damp, walk away. That is the entire practice. Deep, 2 or 3 times a week. At the base, in the morning, checked by the morning droop and the finger. A hydrangea does not wilt because it is dramatic. It wilts because its roots are in the driest 2 inches of your garden. Quick one, right here, because everything I am about to tell you next depends on a question I cannot answer for you. Which hydrangea do you actually own? Because the next section is about cutting, and in August, the answer is genuinely opposite depending on the type. On some of them, a cut right now removes next summer entirely. On others, it costs you very little. Same shears, same afternoon, same garden, and the consequence swings from nothing to everything based on a thing most people have never checked. And that is true of nearly every hydrangea question there is. When to cut it, whether it can change color at all, why it will not bloom. Every one of those questions has a different correct answer for each of the 6 types, which is why generic hydrangea advice fails so reliably and why people end up convinced they have a difficult plant. So I wrote the honest version down. It is called the Hydrangea Mastery Guide. All 6 types, told apart in 90 seconds, because every hydrangea mistake there is starts right there. The Prune by Type Calendar, so you never again make the cut that erases your own flowers. The real reason the color changes, which is not the pH, whatever you were told. And the 5 myths that waste an entire season. 29 pages, $27, instant PDF, 7-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the description at waltgreer.com. And it ends the way this channel always ends, with the part nobody selling you something will print. 4 of the 6 types cannot change color at all, no matter what you pour on them. Fertilizer will never fix a hydrangea that will not bloom, because a guide that only tells you what to do is only half a guide. Now, the cut. And for a lot of you, the instruction is to walk away from it. Put the shears down. Right now, in August, for most of you. I know that sounds like a strange instruction in a video about what your plant needs. But this is the single most destructive thing a well-meaning gardener does to a hydrangea, and August is exactly when it happens, because the flowers have gone brown and the plant looks untidy, and the urge to clean it up is almost irresistible. So here is what you are about to do, if you have an old wood type. Remember what is happening in those stems. The buds for next summer are forming right now, tucked into the joints where the leaves meet the stem, invisible. You cannot see them. There is nothing on that plant to tell you they are there. So you go out with the shears, you cut off the ugly brown flower heads, and take a bit more off while you are at it to tidy the shape. And you drop next June's flowers on the ground. And the punishment is delayed by 10 months, so you will never learn from it. Next spring, that plant will come up green and lush and vigorous and perfectly healthy and give you nothing. And you will blame the winter or the soil or bad luck. So, the fork, and it decides your whole August. If you have a big leaf, a mountain, or an oak leaf hydrangea, put the pruners away entirely. The only thing you touch is genuinely dead, broken, or diseased wood. Nothing else. Save all shaping for the correct window, which is right after flowering next summer and finished by the 1st of August. If you cannot stand the brown heads and you have to remove them, there is one rule that keeps you safe. Cut immediately below the spent flower and no lower than the first pair of healthy leaves beneath it. Do not go a single node further down. Those little bumps hugging the stem below that pair are next year's flowers, and they are already there. If you have a panicle or a smooth hydrangea, you are in a much safer position because those bloom on new growth that is not formed yet. Your real pruning window is late winter, and a cut now genuinely will not cost you next year's display. But even here, August is not the month for a major haircut, because a hard cut this late pushes out soft new growth that will not harden before frost. In August, the most important cut is the one you do not make. Stop feeding it. The bag goes back in the shed until spring. This one catches people who are genuinely trying to help, and the logic seems airtight. The plant is doing important work building next year's flowers, so surely you should feed it to support that. You should not, and here is exactly why. Nitrogen makes leaves. That is what it does, everywhere in the garden, on every plant. So a feed in August tells that hydrangea to push out a flush of soft, tender new growth, right at the point in the season when it should be slowing down and hardening off instead. And that new growth has nowhere to go. It has run out of season. It will not have time to mature and toughen before the first frost arrives, so the cold kills it, and those tender stems die back over winter. Which is bad enough on its own, but here is the part that circles back to everything we have talked about. Those damaged stems are not reliable carriers of next year's flower buds. So a late feed does not just fail to help your bloom count, it actively reduces it. You have spent the whole video protecting buds by watering. A late feed undoes it from the other direction. So the rule is simple. Heavy feeding finishes by midsummer. In practice, that means a balanced feed in spring, and then nothing more for the rest of the season. If you are following a soil test, follow its timing rather than adding anything extra now. And one more thing worth saying plainly, because it is the most expensive misunderstanding in all of hydrangea growing. Fertilizer does not fix a hydrangea that will not bloom. If those buds were cut off or aborted in a dry August or killed by a hard winter, there is no product on any shelf that brings them back. You cannot feed a plant into having flowers it never made. Water builds next year's flowers. Fertilizer in August dismantles them. Mulch it, and then be careful not to overcorrect. 2 inches to 3 inches of organic mulch around the base of that plant, and this is not decoration. Given what we have just established about shallow roots sitting in the driest layer of your soil, mulch is doing 3 jobs at once. It slows evaporation so your watering lasts longer. It stabilizes soil temperature and keeps those roots cooler through a heat wave. and it suppresses the weeds that would otherwise be drinking your hydrangea's water. Use hardwood bark, composted wood chips, shredded leaves, leaf mold, or clean straw. Skip the dyed stuff, and keep it pulled back an inch or two from the stems themselves, because mulch packed against woody stems holds moisture where you do not want it. Mulch is the only thing in this video that keeps working while you are not there. Now the warning, because I have just spent 5 minutes telling you to water more. Some of you are going to go out and drown it, and a drowned hydrangea and a thirsty hydrangea look almost identical. Both wilt. So here is the check that separates them, and it is the same one from earlier. Wilting with dry soil 2 inches down means water it. Wilting with damp or wet soil means the roots are already struggling, and more water makes it worse. The goal is steady moisture, not permanently wet ground. Consistent, not soaked. And 1 fork before we move on, because it changes the numbers completely. If your hydrangea is in a container, everything I said about 2 or 3 times a week goes out the window. Pots dry out dramatically faster, and in real August heat, a potted hydrangea can need water every single day. So check it daily with your finger rather than following a schedule. Water until it runs from the bottom, and never let that pot stand in a saucer of water. In the ground, you water on a rhythm. In a pot, you water on inspection. And here is the bonus. August is the best month of the year to make more of them, for free. This one fits the theme of everything else in this video, because it is another thing you do now that pays off much later. And hydrangeas root easily enough that this is a genuinely reliable project rather than a gamble. Here is how. Take a cutting about 6 inches long from a stem that is not flowering. That matters, because a stem carrying a bloom is spending its energy on that bloom rather than on making roots. Cut just below a node, which is the joint where leaves attach. Strip the lower leaves off entirely. Then take the top 2 leaves and cut them in half across the middle. That looks brutal, and it is exactly right, because a cutting has no roots yet and cannot resupply what it loses through its leaves. Having the leaf area is what keeps that stem from drying out before it can root. Push the cut end into moist perlite and peat or any gritty, free-draining mix, and cover it loosely with a clear plastic bottle with the bottom cut off to hold humidity around it. Then put it somewhere bright but out of direct sun. And I mean that seriously, because direct sun turns that bottle into a miniature greenhouse and cooks the cutting in an afternoon. Keep it lightly moist, and be patient. That is a hydrangea worth $30 at a garden center, made out of a stem you were going to leave on the plant anyway. Everything about August is like this. Nothing you do this month pays you back this month. Before we finish, send this to one person you know with a big, healthy hydrangea that did not flower this year. Just the link. There is a very good chance the reason was last August, and nobody has ever told them that. Now here is the whole thing, in one idea. August is the month your hydrangea stops performing and starts building. The flowers are finished, the plant looks tired, and inside those stems, it is quietly manufacturing every bloom you will get next summer. So what you do this month does not show up this month. It shows up 10 months from now, and that gap is the reason almost nobody gets this right. So, 4 things. Water it properly. About an inch a week, 2 in real heat, delivered as 2 or 3 deep soakings rather than a daily splash, at the base in the morning. Judge it by the morning droop, not the afternoon one, and confirm with your finger 2 inches down. Those roots are sitting in the driest layer of your garden, and a dry August is how a hydrangea aborts next year's buds entirely. Put the shears down. If it is a big leaf, mountain, or oak leaf, touch nothing but dead and broken wood, and if you must take the brown heads off, never cut below the first pair of healthy leaves under them. The buds are already there, and you cannot see them. Stop feeding it. A late feed pushes soft growth that frost kills, and dead stems do not carry flowers. And no fertilizer on earth restores a bud that was never made. And mulch it 2 to 3 inches, pulled back from the stems, because that is the only thing on this list still working when you are not in the garden. Do those 4, and next June takes care of itself. Skip them, and you will spend next spring staring at a perfectly healthy green bush, wondering what went wrong 10 months after it did. A hydrangea does not fail in the season you notice. It fails in the season you stopped watching. So subscribe and hit the bell and stick around. We do this the honest way here in the Forgotten Knowledge Library. Real horticulture, exact numbers, and we tell you straight, including when the answer is to put the tool down and walk away. It is free, and it always will be. And drop a comment telling me which of these 4 you have been getting wrong, because I suspect for most of you, it is the shears. Next time, another plant where this year's mistake does not show up until next year. I will see you in the next one.